Hey guys, what's up? It's Placid5 here, and today we're going to be going through a Cobra Kai tier list. Of course, I'm going to be basing this off of the characters, the acting, and in this show specifically, the fighting skills if the character does fight. All this I'm taking into consideration, as well as what I personally just think of the character as a whole, their arc. Do they add to the story? Are they annoying? Whatever. That's just going to be my personal opinion. It goes without saying. But I'd love to hear below what you guys think. And if you can, check out all our other tier lists and let us know below if you agree or disagree. Let's get started here. I'm going to be omitting some of the characters that kind of only appear for one episode or just the ones that are forgettable. This is a very dense list, so I can't include everybody, but I'm going to include most of everybody. Now, without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to be starting off with Rob, played by Tanner Buchanan. Sorry if I butchered that. No pun intended. So Robby is one of those characters that follow a similar arc to many characters in the show, where they start off kind of annoying and they finally come around and hit a level of maturity and they start to kind of go with the good side, lack of a better term. But Robby, when he first came out, I'm going to be honest, I didn't like him too much as a character, and I thought his acting was just kind of mid, to be honest. He did he did his role, and he was a good fighter, I'll give him that, though. He's definitely one of the best, sharpest fighters of the show. His action scenes kind of, appear a lot more memorable than others in the show. He's got kind of like adult level fighting. I'm seeing like hallway scenes. He's throwing people. So really kind of cool fights involving him. But at the beginning, just his acting wasn't the best. But he started slowly turning it around, and I think he came into his own for sure. Later on in the season, he kind of came to terms and kind of became mature, and his acting improved too, I saw. And he's just one of those characters that are kind of chill now. They're kind of friends with everybody near season 4 and season 5. Now he's kind of more relaxed with everybody, and yeah, he's cool. I'm gonna put him at like a B, but we can consider like a B plus, really. All right, next up we got Amanda LaRusso, the wife of Daniel LaRusso, which is the lead of the show, of course, played by Courtney Hengeler. Now, I think she does an amazing job. She really is one of the more solid characters in the show. She's got some sense, she's got some charm to her, but most importantly, she's there right by Daniel's side, always giving him good advice. She's kind of talking sense with him. Obviously, I think later in the show, I think that when she took the kids to when she took the kids to Ohio or wherever they went, I thought that was a huge overreaction from her part. But overall, she's just a really good character and a really good actress as well. You could see her kind of micro movements when she's acting, and I think she really, really holds it down. I think, and as far as all the other female leads in the show, I think she's definitely goated. So I'm gonna put Amanda at S tier for sure. Next up, we've got Alli Miller, which is Johnny Lawrence's and Daniel LaRusso's old love interest back when they were in high school. This is the girl they fought over in the first Karate Kid. She's played by Elizabeth Shue, which was in The Boys. That, if you ever watched that show, she's an amazing actress in that show as well. In this show, I kind of found her character a little annoying. Like, I understood why they put her in there, and I can't say it didn't make sense. There are definitely some interesting scenes, triggered by her appearance, like Johnny getting into the dating apps, and there's a bonding moment between him and Miguel, and then also kind of the interesting interaction when him, Daniel, and Alli all kind of meet at a party. So there's definitely some interesting kind of storylines, interesting scenes that were triggered by her appearing, but I could have done without her, to be honest. She's a good actress, but I don't know. I found her character a little annoying, and I didn't get the hype, as it were, So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw her into the C. Not great, but not too bad. Next up, we got Hector Salazar. He plays Miguel's dad and is most prominent in that episode where Miguel goes searching for him in Mexico. I think he only appears for probably one episode, I believe, just one. And he does the job of playing, this good guy dad that eventually is come to realize by Miguel that he's not, and he's a mobster or whatnot. So I'm going to throw him also in the C tier. All right, next up, we got Tory Nichols, one of our main leads, played by Peyton List. Once again, follows a very similar arc to Robby, where she basically starts off as this really gritty, mean, angry teen, and eventually becomes somewhat of a morally good character, where she's actually trying to help Sam and is definitely kind of coming into her own as well as a moral fighter, I guess, after Silver takes over Cobra Kai and she sees the bad that he's doing. So I think she's solid. Once again, I found her a little annoying at the beginning, but I must say she does have really strong fighting scenes as well. You could tell she's a good fighter, which is really nice to see, the females having good fight scenes as well. So big kudos for that. So yeah, no, she's good. I'm gonna throw her also right next to Robby in the B tier. It's fitting that they're both in the same category side by side. All right, next up, I'm gonna be talking about Johnny Lawrence's three friends. They appear for one episode, I believe. Another nostalgia trip where there's scenes where they're reminiscing about their past. All three of them kind of seem to have matured and found a good path compared to their kind of bullying in high school. One became a pastor. One is positively trying to fight, cancer, I believe he had, or some kind of a disease. The other one also seems to be caring for him. So they all seem to have kind of come into their own as well, and are there for Johnny as well. And they're reminiscing, and they do what they need to do. They seem to hold it down as well. But I'm just going to throw them into the C tier. All right, next up we got Kyler Park, played by Joe C.O., played by Joe C.O. Man, this one, if you're a fan of him, this is going to be rough. Look away. I just think I think he's bad. I think this character is everything about him is just, first of all, the acting, I'm sorry, no offense, but the acting is really lackluster with this character. He plays the bully type, but he's struggling through some of his lines. He looks confused half the time, and his fighting is okay too. It's not the best. And as a character itself, he's just very annoying when he's on screen. And I get that's the point. And some may argue, hey, if you really dislike him, he's doing a great job. But there are just other reasons. Just the way he speaks, the way he is as a character is just very unlikable. And there really isn't much redeeming qualities with Mr. Park here. So I'm gonna throw him into D tier. He's not it. I'm sorry. He's not it. Next up, we got Bert, played by Owen Morgan. If you're not familiar, he's the blonde kid with the glasses. There's two of these. I might pair them up. The other one's right after him, but there's these two very small kind of kids, the youngest in both clans. You'll know who I'm talking about when you see them. But man, if you thought I wanted to Parker too hard, my goodness. This guy, Bert, is just, there really is no redeeming quality to him, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say. His acting is tough to watch. It's really something that's tough to watch. Every time he went on screen, I was like, how did he get the gig? How is he on the show of this caliber? He's struggling through his lines. And then I'm thinking, okay, at least, if he fights, it'll be redeeming, it's somewhat. And then when he starts fighting, oh man, it's worse. It's worse than his acting, to be honest. He's struggling. There's no weight or impact to any of his punches. I get it. He has a smaller form, but man, this is not it. I mean, Dimitri has a skinnier form, and he's fighting way better than this kid. So it's one of those things where I am sorry. It's harsh, but he's going in F tier. He's going down there for sure, because they're really, if you're fighting and acting and character aren't good, what can I say? That he can't be put into anything higher. So it had to be done. I'm sorry. Karate chop down to F tier. Not too far behind Bert is Nathaniel, played by Nathaniel O. Wow, his actor name is the same as his screen name. Same size as Bert. They have a rivalry going throughout the show. And when these two are on screen, Oh my goodness. Very hard to watch once again when Nathaniel comes on screen, and let alone when Bert's also there. It's a struggle. Nathaniel also has very weak fighting skills in the show. Once again, I'm not trying to, egg on the actor or nothing, but once again, very difficult to watch when they're fighting as well. They're struggling. They're struggling hard. So I'm sorry. He's also going to the F tier. Next up, we have Aisha Robinson. Lawrence would call her Mrs. Robinson, played by Nicole Brown. She's actually a pretty a solid character at the beginning. Her acting's, it does the trick. She, after joining Cobra Kai, she ends up kind of becoming evil in a way. Not fully evil, but she becomes way meaner, and she starts just kind of becoming Kreese's right-hand woman, I guess, as it were. Yeah, she's okay. She eventually exits the show. I believe she makes a small return, but she's, a friend to Sam, and she sticks with that throughout the show, and she's pretty solid. So I'll be throwing her at C. She does the trick, but I mean, she isn't anything crazy. All right, next up we have Anoush, played by Dan Adut. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Man, I'm sorry. I find this character insufferable. Let's be honest. Every time he's on screen, him and the cousin. What's his cousin's name? His cousin's name is Louie LaRusso. His cousin and this guy, Anoush. Sorry, I almost called him the douche, which he is actually. But he and Louie come in as like the comedic relief, but every time they're on screen, it's a miss. I mean, I thought they'd think there's these buddy type, comedic type characters that come on screen, but I never was laughing. I was just rolling my eyes every single time they were on screen. They're causing huge problems. Louie comes in and crashes Lawrence's or destroys Lawrence's car, lights it on fire all of a sudden. They're goofy. They're goofy characters that aren't that funny at all, to be honest. They're really annoying, and they just add nothing to the show, really, to be honest. I don't really know why they're there, and they insist on having them show up periodically. So I'm actually putting both of them right off the bat into the D category. These two just get thrown right in there because they're cut from the same cloth, So next up, we got Anthony LaRusso, played by Griffin S. Sorry, I'm not going to even attempt that last name. You know what? I'm going to start off nice with this character. The character started off kind of chubby, a little bit overweight at the beginning of the show. He's always on his iPad eating food. He really serves no purpose other than to be the really annoying failed child of LaRusso who eats all day is on the iPad all day. That's all they set him up as. Later on, I believe season 3, I want to say, I may be mistaken, they decide, okay, we're going to try to make him a main character. He loses a bunch of weight. I actually thought it was a different actor, but kudos to the actor for losing weight. He loses a lot of weight, looks completely different, and I feel like his acting got a little better as well, right off the bat. He came out with more lines, and he was able to kind of prove himself as a better actor. Once again, not up to the level of other people in the show, but he definitely kind of can hold his own, especially in the more emotional scenes when he's, fighting or bullying the Kenny Payne character. So for those reasons, I'll say that he had some upsides, but as a character, he's kind of really douchey. He's a bully type. Later on, it comes back to bite him, and the other kid can't let it go. But he's kind of an annoying character. He's not the nicest. When he is, it's like, okay, I don't know. I'll throw him at a C. He's not. He would have been lower if he didn't come around, but he came around a little later. So for that reason, I'll throw him into the C tier. Next up is Chris. Chris's acting is just played by Khalil Everidge. His acting suffers a lot in the show. Unfortunately to say, I think his acting stays subpar from the second he goes on screen to later on. He has moments. Him and his friend, they become enemies, then they become friends again, and and it goes back and forth, almost like a buddy cop movie over here. But his friend Mitch, the bigger other kid with curly hair, they both have curly hair, but they just, what was I trying to say? Mitch, I mean, the second these two go on screen, there's some moments, that it works between them, but far and few between, I gotta say. I mean, these two, once again, it's difficult to watch. They're fighting. I think his fighting is better. I think Chris's fighting is better than Mitch's. He's seems to have a little bit more technique. But yeah, he's a whatever character. He kind of just shows up. He's been there since the beginning, but I'm gonna throw him into the D category. Next up, we got Lawrence's father. He is once again kind of your scummy rich dad who kind of berates his child for not amounting to anything. Keeps saying, you need daddy's money or whatnot. He's okay. He does the role pretty well. He's a good actor, and he's just kind of a thorn in Lawrence's side for like season 2, roughly. So he does what he needs to do, and he's just off screen after a while. So I'll just be throwing him into the C category. Next up, we got Terry Silver, played by Thomas Ian Griffith. He is actually one of my favorite characters in the show. He is a very, very good actor, and he's got a clean, cool style to him. And he's really encompasses that kind of like Bond villain, that classy, modern villain. And what I like really most about it, and it is a testament to the writing in the show, is that his plan makes sense. And the conflict he causes makes sense. Now, obviously, there's parts that are over the top, but he definitely comes in with a bunch of money. He's able to have a lot more resources and expand way faster and do more evil things at in a more effective rate than these other people can, obviously. Kreese is a great character. We'll get to him too, but he wasn't able to expand or enroll the entire valley into Cobra Kai like Silver's could, because he really didn't have that level of resources. So for that reason, it makes sense. It adds conflict, and he plays the role very, very brilliantly, as he starts off kind of conceding to Kreese, and then eventually it all ends up to be a ruse, and he eventually, Kreese falls right into Silver's plan, and he's able to kind of take over Cobra Kai. So I think it's really a testament to his acting, and I think he's just a great, well-crafted character. Obviously an evil character, but a very well-crafted character. And he's long, he's very tall, so his fighting style kind of has some heft to it. I like him a lot. I think he's S. I'm going to put him into S tier, S for Silver. So yeah, very solid character. All right, next up we got Dumb and Dumber. They really don't play the biggest role. These two dweebs are with Robby at the beginning. They are your typical thieves. They're trying to find the next scheme, next person to scam. They end up in prison being interrogated by LaRusso and Lawrence. And it's just, they play their part. They're scummy, they're douchey. And I mean, what else can be said? One is worse than the other. I'm just gonna plop them onto the rankings, and you'll see this guy gets a C and this guy gets a D for sure. So don't at me. Next up, we got Chozen Taguchi by Yuji Okumoto. I really like this character. At first, he kind of comes off a little quirky, which actually I like. He has a little bit of charm to him, and he plays that kind of villain turned good again. He's talking to Daniel, he helps him out, teaches him another technique, and he's just got a way about him. He's one of those really dependable characters who will come through, and he's highly skilled, and he's got some humor moments, and I don't know, he just really does a good job of being that sensei that people kind of can count on, when things matter the most. Someone who's very level-headed, minus the end sections of season 5 where he's encouraging storming into these Silver's dojos and his house and stuff. Besides those moments, he's definitely very level-headed, got very good lessons, and despite not having English as his native language, he with the few words he speaks, you know what he's trying to say, you know what he means, and he's a good actor. He's a good actor and a great fighter. So, and after all these years, a lot of these characters are much older, but I'm really impressed by how they hold it down with their fighting. So for him, I'll throw him a very solid character. I'll throw him at an A. Next up, we got Mike Barnes, played by Sean Cannon. Also another solid character. I think he only shows up for 2 episodes. I believe once where he's introduced on what he does, and then one at the end of season 5 where he's fighting and in the mix of everything. But he's one of those characters that he's introduced already as similar to Lawrence's friends from his past. He's introduced already as having morals, as being a good guy, and making good use of his skill and his money or whatnot. So he's definitely, well, okay, when they first introduce him, they portray it as if he's going to be a super evil person, but then they do that twist where all of a sudden he's actually, no, he wasn't talking about killing somebody. He was talking about furniture because he opens up a furniture store. So they do that little switch on the audience. But I mean, as a character, he is a morally good character, and he's got some good fighting to him. Obviously, I know they stunt actors, but he is on scene a lot of times fighting. So I mean, I think he's very solid. And just an overall good character. I'll throw him into the B category. Next up, we got Carmen, played by Vanessa Rubio. Once again, the partner of Lawrence, similar to Amanda. She also plays that secondary female kind of woman in his life. And she does a good job. She does a good job, very solid job of being Miguel's mother, and I don't know. I think she holds it down a lot as an actress, and once again, is just one of those characters that are good to the lead characters. They complement them well, and they're just kind of by their side. So not a lot to be said, but I'll throw her in the A category, as she's not as prominent as Amanda. Before you say anything, she's not as prominent in the show. So, but shoot, I shouldn't have said that. So I will be throwing her in the A category now. She's good and I like her, but I don't think if we're comparing her to Amanda, I don't think she's quite as impactful in the show as Amanda is, but still a very, very solid character, don't get me wrong. Next up, we got Eli Moskowitz, aka Hawk, played by Jacob Bertrand. He is one of those characters again where he has that arc, but he is one of those characters who's there from the very beginning, very start, all the way to the very end. He's a very loyal character to whatever dojo he's in. He's very loyal. And I don't know, at first, obviously, they have him being this timid character turned into now this overly confident, overzealous fighter who's now going to take it out on everybody. He does very douchey things. He's very mean, and he crosses the lines many times from against his own friends, even from other dojos. So he's very try-hard, is what I'm trying to say. He takes things very seriously, a little too seriously, as if whatever's being preached to him at these dojos is like gospel. Like this is whatever they say is what he lives by. So he definitely takes it too far as a character. As a fighter, I think he once again also has some of the coolest scenes. As a fighter, he's very skilled. Obviously, I know there's stunt men, but there's a lot of scenes where he's in view fighting, and I think he's a really, really good fighter as well in that regard. And now, later on, you could see glimpses of him being an actual, good character, even when he's evil. Down below, you could see it. There's glimpses of him being, okay, like, there's someone normal underneath this. And that's a testament to his acting. For that reason, I'm going to throw Hawk at A tier. Next up, we got Devon Lee. She is introduced kind of between maybe season 3, I believe, or 4. She's kind of slips in and out a lot of the dojo, and I kind of even forgot she existed. She's a little bit of a forgettable character. She's kind of like that nerdy, very analytical type, but she's really driven to fight and conquer and win. So I do admire that aspect of that character. Later on, obviously, she's more prominent, but when she did show up, I kind of like forgot she was there for a second. But she's a solid character. Once again, she just kind of plays that really driven character who wants to do good and be on the right side. At the end of season 5, I'd say she's being super stubborn, a little too stubborn after Tori's telling her things. It's kind of annoying when you see a character not getting the hints, but you can't fault them. But yeah, no, she's fine. She's pretty solid, good fighter, and just a good, a different. She brings a different side of a character than the normal people. I mean, you don't really have that nerdy kind of type other than Dimitri, so she has that kind of edge to her as well. So I'll throw her at B. She's solid. Next up, we got the homeless lady. I'm not going to speak much about this, sorry. Man, she's there for comedic relief, but really they show her too many times. If they show her like 5 times last time I remember, but it's already too many times. She's going straight into the D category. Another quickie is the psychiatrist character who's talking to Kreese. All I could say about her is she flubbed hard. She was onto Kreese at the beginning during the psychiatry sessions when he was in prison, and all of a sudden she decided to lean in close and let him pickpocket her. So huge flub from her. She's fallen right into probably the C- character because she's a good actress, but man, she flubbed hard. All right, next up we have Raymond, or Stingray, played by Paul Walter Hauser. He's actually a really good actor, this guy, but in this show he sticks with this typical, very gullible, over the top, comedic kind of follower of Cobra Kai, takes it way too far, gets beat down by Silver at some point. He's fine, I think he's quite annoying earlier on in the seasons. So for that reason, I'm throwing him at a C, like a C-. He's annoying. He does have his arc, and he does have a few moments, but overall, he's just kind of an obnoxious, over-the-top character. Next up, we got Kenny Payne, played by Dallas Dupree. Now, he's, one of those... Next up, we got Kenny Payne, played by Dallas Dupree Young. This character feels like, I don't know, for me it felt kind of out of place that they were putting so much emphasis on him, but I understood why. Obviously it was, to introduce Anthony LaRusso as being a bully, and eventually him once again being one of those character stories where he joins something and he joins Cobra Kai. Now he's a new person. Now he's, beating everybody up. Now he's crazy. I think as a character, he overdoes it a lot of the times, and he just is one of those out of control kind of characters where it's just he takes his Cobra Kai stuff way too seriously. So try hard, and after Robby helped him train and was very nice to him, decided to completely switch up on him. It's just such an extreme move for a character. So I mean, for those reasons, I gotta throw him in the C tier. He's kind of annoying at times when he's on screen. Good fighter, good actor, but I'm throwing him at C. Alright, next up we have the Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka. So it goes without saying that he is the secondary main lead in the show. He does an amazing job as playing Johnny Lawrence, and he does a really good job of kind of sticking to that type of character and who he was back then. He does a great job of keep bringing that back and being himself no matter what. And the acting's great, his facial expressions, his fighting, everything is very solid from him, and he's just a great lead, truthfully. The way he interacts with everybody, it's just so entertaining to watch him just kind of play off other characters. Him and Daniel have like such a good, interesting relationship to kind of watch on screen. How they hate each other, then they're willing to work together. It's a great duality, and I think it's just he brings a really good level to the show as far as talent goes. So he just nothing but good things to say about that character, and he is who he is, and I gotta throw him in the S tier for sure. He's goated. Another quickie for you guys. We got Butch, I believe. Brucks by Bo Mitchell. Curly hair once again. He's with what's his name, Parker, kind of his minion by him, just bully type, gets beat down pretty badly, and yeah, he's annoying. He's annoying. I'm throwing him at D for sure. Acting isn't the best either. Just yeah, bad. Next we got John Kreese, played by Martin Kove. Once again, I gotta say, great actor. Really, really good actor. Holds it down heavily as being that ex-Vietnam vet, who is taking the Cobra Kai way too far yet again. He's one of those characters who's talking trash to everybody to their face throughout the show. You can't help but just admire his ruthlessness throughout the entire show. He sticks to his guns. He takes it very, very seriously, and he's smart. And he's a good evil character. He's really it's a very well crafted, very well written character. He has his morals, he has his thoughts, and there's glimpses of redeeming qualities as far as character goes, where you could see he's not all illogical. Things, he has some inclinings about him that where he basically can teeter between being a good character or a bad character. So he has lessons in there, and that's a great thing the show does, is it has lessons between all three factions, all three, dojos at the time. I mean, they fluctuate, but there's 2 dojos and there's 3, but there's the kind of principles that they all follow, and it really does a good job of showing that he has, within his over-the-top methods, there are at times good life lessons in there, but he just takes it too far. So I think, once again, stellar acting, stellar job of portraying this evil character. So he gets S tier for sure. Next up, we got Dimitri, played by Gianni DeCenzo. I must say, when he first came on screen, I was just really annoyed by Dimitri. Really talkative, really over the top. He got his butt kicked multiple times, once by Kreese, by other people, by his friends, where he just wouldn't keep his mouth shut. He just yaps. Bro loves to yap in the show, and he actually takes hits for it, which is funny. But he came around at the end. I mean, I found him really annoying and obnoxious, and he kind of stays that way through most of the show. It's only near season 4 or 5 that I think he finally becomes one of those characters that are like, okay, they're somewhat likable now. They're okay. They're talking sense. They're being motivating to his teammates, to Eli. But most of the show, like 75% of the show, I find him incredibly annoying, and his fighting's really his fighting is pretty weak too as well. There's not much heft to it. You won't see him in insane fighting sequences. You'll see him, with these finisher moves or these kind of one-shot moves where they go flying, or he hits somebody into he hits Eli into a trophy case. Like he has kind of these one-shot moves, and he has some decent blocking, but he's not the best fighter either. So I'll throw him into C. If he didn't come around, he would definitely be lower, but he definitely came around. Next up, we got Samantha LaRusso, played by Mary Mauser. She is also one of those characters that is very solid, and she holds it down throughout the entire show. She's a really great actress. Shows lots of ranges of emotions, and as a character, she has that arc, but it's a very different arc than other people. She definitely starts off as, the really overly good character, and she has moments where now she's starting to be very defiant to her father, and now she's challenging the system, and she doesn't quite go full evil, but she has glimpses of being counter to what she's being taught. So it's definitely admirable, and once again, great character, great actress, really quite a decent fighter, to be honest too, and her and Miguel hit it off very well and very good. So I do like watching their relationship kind of pan out on screen too. It's very solid, and it feels very authentic, which is nice. So despite her at times not making up her mind between the love interests and stuff, I think she's definitely one of the most solid characters in the show, and I have to put her at S. Next up, this will be a quickie. We got the Pawnshop owner. He's always kind of being snarky to Lawrence, and Lawrence is being snarky back, so they kind of got this rapport for sure. Interesting to watch. Doesn't play such a huge pivotal role in the show, but he shows up here and there, and he's kind of Lawrence's go-to pawn shop guy, but he has a little scene there at the end where he has you learn that he has kids, and he has a good lesson really at the end, but he's just there. He's a side character, but not too bad. I'll throw him at a C+. Next up, we got Miguel Diaz. He's obviously our lead for a lot of the show. Lead kid character. He's very good. He's a very humble kid, trying to do what's right, and he sticks to that throughout most of the show. He sticks to his guns. He doesn't really fly too far out as far as getting overly attached to Cobra Kai. He's aware that they're doing wrong, and he's a very morally kind of in the middle, very sane character who knows between right and wrong, when's too far, when's not. So it's refreshing to see a character stick that way throughout the entire show. I will say he does start turning a little dumb later in the show. As it progresses, he takes on this I don't know, who cares kind of attitude later in the show, where he's kind of just going with the flow, and he's missing obvious hints, or he's kind of confused by things when Lawrence and Carmen are talking to him. It's it's nothing against the actor, nothing. It's just the character. It's just how they design the character later on to be kind of dilly, as it were. He's just kind of going with the flow, and just I guess dumb is too harsh, but he just kind of becomes very unassertive. He's just kind of chilling. So for that reason, at times I was pointing at the screen, does he not obviously get this hint, or what's happening, this and that? So for that reason, I'm going to throw him as A+. Obviously a great, solid character, but for those reasons, he got knocked down a little bit, just right into the A+ tier. All right, quickie, we got Mitch, the other chubbier guy. He's the counterpart to Kreese. They're pretty much one and the same. They fight, they talk trash to each other. His acting's pretty subpar. He's being thrown right next to his friend Kreese in the D tier. Next up, we got Kim DaEun, played by Aisha Hana Kim. She shows up in season 5, and does a good job at being that villain type. She plays almost like a Bond type villain. She's always wearing black. She's taking extreme measures on the students, and she holds it down as kind of one of those evil characters. She reminds me of Lucy Liu kind of in I guess more in looks, I guess, in Kill Bill and stuff, where she's kind of doing some martial arts. And I don't know, I think she's a very effective character at what she does. It doesn't take the biggest role, but later on she kind of almost becomes Silver's right hand partner for a lot of that season. So I think she does a solid job. I'll throw her into the B category. All right, next we got our main man, Daniel LaRusso, played by none other than Ralph Macchio. Not much needs to be said about him. He's goated. He's really goated. He's one of the best actors in the show, and really good fighter. And as a character, he's as morally strong as it gets. Obviously, he has his flaws, but he's very, very sane. He's very in tune with the logic of things, and is trying to make sure things are done correctly, and he's trying to make sure good happens in the world. So he's just a very solid character, solid fighter, and has a lot of good lessons, of course, led by kind of his historic partner, Mr. Miyagi, where he's kind of teaching these life lessons to the students. So I think it's just a great character, and he really holds a lot of the good elements of the show on his back. So for that reason, obviously, he gets an S tier for him. All right, guys, I did skip out on a few side characters here and there, but I think I covered most of the ones people really wanted to see. I'd love to hear below, what do you guys think of this tier list? What do you think of my reasonings and all that? I'd love below. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, please make sure to subscribe, comment, like this video, and if you want to see us do any other tier lists, let us know below. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys next week.